This question tests your knowledge of the Sklearn library's dataset tools. I'm asking you to identify which statements accurately describe functions within the Sklearn datasets module. I've marked this as false because the statement is incorrect. The function load_Boston is deprecated. No longer available in newer versions of Sklearn because the dataset contains problematic historical bias. We should use updated alternatives. This statement is true. The function make_classification is a powerful tool that lets you create custom synthetic datasets. You control things like the number of features, classes, and how informative those features are, useful for experimenting with machine learning algorithms. I've marked this statement as false because it incorrectly describes the function fetch_openML. It actually downloads datasets from the OpenML online repository, not local directories. Think of OpenML as a large online library of datasets. This is a quiz testing your knowledge of the datasets available in Sklearn's datasets module. I'll be evaluating your understanding of different functions like load_iris, load_Boston, make_classification, and fetch_openML, Get ready. This question asks you to identify the correct statements about the various ways you can access and create datasets within the Sklearn library. Let's dive in. This statement is true. The load_iris function returns a dictionary-like object. It's actually a bunch object. A Sklearn-specific type, which provides you with everything you need for the iris dataset. You get data, target variables, feature names, and target names all packaged up nicely. This statement is also true. make_classification is your friend when you need to create artificial datasets. You tell it how many features, classes, and how informative you want the features to be. It's super handy for testing algorithms. This statement is false. Unfortunately, load_Boston has been removed from Sklearn because the data contains some problematic bias, making it not a good representative dataset. I suggest using alternatives like fetch_California_housing instead. This statement is false. fetch_openML pulls data from the OpenML online repository, not your local machine. It's like saying, hey, download from the internet, not, hey, download from my files. This instruction reminds you that multiple options in the quiz could be correct, so make sure you select all of the true statements. This indicates a correct answer to one of the multiple choice statements in the quiz. This indicates an incorrect answer to one of the multiple choice statements in the quiz. This indicates a correct answer to one of the multiple choice statements in the quiz. This indicates an incorrect answer to one of the multiple choice statements in the quiz. This is the core question of the quiz. It asks you to identify which statements accurately describe the behavior and properties of different functions within Sklearn's dataset loading module. We'll examine each statement one by one to determine its truthfulness. This statement says that the load_iris function, which loads the famous iris flower dataset, returns a data structure similar to a dictionary. It's true. The returned object holds the data, the species labels, and descriptive information. This statement is false. Unfortunately, load_Boston has been removed from Sklearn because the Boston housing dataset contains problematic racial bias. This is completely true. The make_classification function is a tool that lets you create your own custom datasets. You control the number of features, classes, and how informative those features are. It's great for experiments and testing your models. This is false. fetch_openML gets datasets from the OpenML online repository, a vast collection of datasets for machine learning tasks, not from your computer's local storage. This indicates a correct answer in the quiz, namely statement A. This indicates an incorrect answer in the quiz, namely statement B. This indicates a correct answer in the quiz, namely statement C. This indicates an incorrect answer in the quiz, namely statement D. This is a quiz about the Sklearn library, specifically its datasets module. I'll be testing your knowledge of how to use different dataset loading functions. This question asks you to identify which statements about the functions in the Sklearn datasets module are correct. You need to carefully evaluate each statement. This statement says the load_iris function returns a data structure that's similar to a dictionary. It should contain the dataset's features, target variables, the answers, and information about what those features and targets represent. This is true. This statement claims the load_Boston function is available in newer versions of Sklearn. It is false, because load_Boston has been removed because the data has ethical issues. This statement explains that the _make_classification function creates artificial datasets. You can control many of the details, such as the number of features and classes. This is true. This statement is about fetch_openML. It claims this function downloads data from your computer. That's false. It actually downloads from the OpenML online repository. This instruction reminds you to choose all the correct options from the multiple-choice questions presented in the quiz. This question asks you to identify which statements are correct regarding the different ways you can access datasets within the Sklearn library. It tests your knowledge of specific functions and their characteristics. I'll guide you through each option to help you understand them better. This statement is true. The load_iris function, when called, gives you a container, much like a dictionary, that holds everything you need for the iris dataset. The actual data points, what the data points represent, the target, names for each feature, like sepal length, and names for the target. It's all neatly organized. This is FALSE. Unfortunately, load_Boston is no longer part of newer versions of Sklearn. The reason is that the dataset contains some biases, making it inappropriate for use in many situations. There are better alternatives available. This is also true. Make_classification is a super handy function. It lets you create your own datasets from scratch. You get to decide how many features, classes, and the general complexity you want. This is great for testing and experimenting. This statement is FALSE. Fetch_openML is designed to grab datasets from the OpenML online database, not your computer's local files. This is a quiz testing my knowledge of the datasets available in the Sklearn library. I need to identify which statements about these datasets are true. It's a test of my understanding of how to use these datasets. This statement says that the load_iris function, which I use to load the iris dataset, gives me back a data structure that acts like a dictionary. I can access parts of the data using keys, like I would with a regular dictionary. It's true. Load_iris returns a bunch object, which is a dictionary-like structure holding the data, targets, feature names and target names. This claims that the load_Boston function is easy to use. However, that's false. I learned that load_Boston was removed because of issues with the data it used. It's not a good dataset to use anymore. I'm told that make_classification can create fake datasets. This is totally correct. I can use it to make my own custom datasets for testing or experiments. I can set many different things about the data that it generates. This statement says that fetch_openML gets datasets from my computer's files. That's incorrect. Fetch_openML actually downloads data from the OpenML online database, not from my local storage. This is a quiz about the different datasets you can access using the Sklearn library in Python. We'll be looking at how to use specific functions to load and create datasets. This question asks you to identify which statements correctly describe various dataset loading and creation functions within Sklearn. I'm checking if you know that the load_iris function which loads the famous iris flower dataset, gives you a data structure that's similar to a dictionary. It lets you access things like the data points, the species labels, and the names of the features easily. This tests if you understand that make underscore classification is a tool to create fake datasets. It lets you customize how many features and classes, categories, your dataset has, and how much information each feature gives you about the classification. It's useful for testing machine learning models. For instance, I'm seeing if you're aware that load underscore Boston is no longer part of scikit-learn. It used to load a housing dataset, but it's been removed because the data contains biases. This probes your knowledge of fetch underscore openML. I want to know that you understand it's not for local files, but instead downloads datasets from the OpenML online database, a big collection of public datasets. This is the correct answer for statement A and C. This is the correct answer for statement B and D. This is the correct answer for statement A and C. This is the correct answer for statement B and D.